They do look pissed off. I wonder if they were like, kids, look miserable.
Except for this one that doesn't know what's going on.
Well, that's me. I mean, it's the youngest. The youngest just like, woo!
Party time.
Because he's living in a tent.
This is Byron Lazine and Nicole White, and you are tuned in to episode 46 of The Real Word. Word up.
Word.
All right, so our main topic this week, and I'm glad to be back. This is a little bit late, so sorry if you were patiently waiting for episode 46. A little late this week. Totally my fault. Totally my fault this time.
Yeah.
I'm going to own that one.
I like that.
But I'm glad to be back. And today's main topic does not have a link associated with it. So I want everyone to make sure if you're searching for this information that I'm going to share, there's no link.
Which is even greater, because have you guys ever played that game of telephone? So we'll see how well it translated.
Well, here's the deal, okay?
You took
telephone.
lots of notes.
I took lots of notes.
Lots of notes, but we are playing a little game of telephone here.
And you know what? I'm going to take this back. Maybe there will be a link. That's going to be dependent on if Vanessa can whip up a blog, maybe. Maybe we'll do that. Maybe we'll do a LinkedIn blog and we'll get that linked up with these notes. We'll that's a possibility, not a guarantee. All right, so what I'm going to share with you is the president of Zillow shared some information with a small group of 100 of some of the top agents, brokers in the country.
Which is, of course, why you were there.
I'm the low man on the totem pole for sure in that room.
You're there.
But I was in the room. I snuck in.
You were in the room.
This was a Tom Ferry Team Plus closed door 100-person event. And Greg Schwartz, the president of Zillow, was there. Now, he said multiple times, do not share this on social media, which is why we're going to share it on our podcast.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like they say that because they want you to.
Remember
he
literally
remember
said.
We went to that Agent 20.
He was building it up too, but
that whole or Bravo said that I couldn't unveil this
promo,
Ryan, and you're like, well, that's BS.
Ryan Serhant's like, I'm going to show
you
guys.
Your face is all over social media.
He was showing us a national TV commercial. He's like, I'm going to show you guys a commercial early. Do not post
because he hadn't
this on
released the new show yet.
Dude, everybody's got a camera in their hand. And Greg, I appreciate the build up.
But it was a marketing shtick,
right?
With cameras everywhere, because everyone had to bring their paparazzi to that event.
A public traded company is not going to say, here's a bunch of information, now don't share it on social. Now, I believe he didn't want some of this stuff posted on social, but
maybe not. But Byron took that as a double dare.
We're going to share it on our podcast regardless. All right, Greg? And listen, I'm not going to come at you, Greg, like the rest of the room did. It got heated in there.
Yeah, I heard.
Okay, there was a Q&A period at the end, but I'm just going to stick to the facts of what Greg was talking about. And
maybe we could hear from our people and see what they think.
And this is in reference to PA4, Premier Agent 4. Some people throughout the country have switched over to PA4. Our marketplace is one of them. Some of them have not yet. Now, what's happening? Let's do a little recap there, and then we'll get into what Greg has said. What's happening is Zillow is now scrubbing. Taking a nap over there?
Well, this is your show now.
Zillow is scrubbing the leads and connecting an agent on the call 100% of the time with a scrubbed lead.
I will say I've encountered that the last probably maybe 3 weeks, 2 weeks. It's super new.
Hasn't been that long.
Yeah.
A couple.
I've actually enjoyed it thus far, because usually when I do get a call from Zillow, they're like, press 1 to accept this lead, and by the time you hit 1, it's gone somewhere else regardless. Like you hit it and you miss it.
Yep.
So this has been fun because you're actually like talking to someone from Zillow.
And they're now, if somebody's using OpCity or something like that, it's essentially the same thing. Zillow's going to be on the line. They're going to say, hey, Nicole, we have a client on the line. Can you help them right now? Right?
Oh yeah. They gave me the address of the property. They gave me a little bit of background, like the husband's name. Like they did a little background for me.
And so let's get into, and this is coming from Zillow, why they went to this platform or this way of handing off leads as opposed to what they were doing. Well, one of the things that they were doing is they were connecting it with you, with Nicole, one-on-one connection, right? But now if Nicole didn't pick up, they had to set up maybe a later time for them to talk to her.
I hated that. They were booking my calendar without even...
In that scenario, Zillow found that only 30% of the time would an agent, not Nicole, but an agent, would make that connection. So then they started to, route it out to different agents, right? And it would take 3.1 agents to make a connection, and there were only 70% of the time did the client say that they were responsive, a follow-up, whatever. Zillow now has 5 bullet points. Go ahead.
I think the only thing that I can say on the other flip end of that is that there are multiple times, though, where you do call these people back, email them, call them, and they're just not responding back. So those numbers, in my mind, could be potentially a little skewed because they could be claiming that they didn't hear from anybody back.
Yeah, these are...
But lots of times these people are reaching out. But some of those numbers, you said that a majority of the people that are reaching out to Zillow are thinking that they're actually reaching out to Zillow, not an agent.
Well, we'll get into that. So Zillow did 750,000 plus surveys. That's where they're getting this data from, is surveys of their users. And that's how they built out this 5-point business plan that will come over. We can talk about what you were talking about with their customer service.
Where did you think you?
Yeah. So
who
one of
were contacting?
One of the questions, exactly. Who were you contacting?
It was right there.
Yeah, it was right there.
I could read your notes.
Who were you contacting when you were asked as a consumer of Zillow, someone that uses the platform? Who do you think you were contacting when you clicked on a property? 50% of those users thought they were contacting Zillow themselves.
Right.
Right? Does that make sense?
Well, again, based on their lack of response, it makes complete sense. Because as soon as you're an agent reaching out to these people, they're then just like, they're not...
Hey, I'm Nicole White from One & Company.
Call me back. Or, hey, I saw you needed some help, like on an email. I mean, I'll even text, like, no response. So
now these consumers are thinking, I thought I was going to get a call from Zillow. There's an agent. Are they selling my name? So 50% of the people thought it was Zillow that they were contacting. 30% of people just didn't know. They just were pressing contact and just had no clue. 10% of the people thought they were actually connecting with the listing agent. I'm surprised that was so low, because a lot of times you hear, hey, I thought I was talking to the listing agent.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I always disclose from the very beginning when I do take these leads, hey, listen, like, I'm 100% willing and capable of helping you, but I'm just not the listing agent. So if you were hoping to reach the listing agent, but obviously by 10%,
so 10% thought they were getting the listing agent. 5% thought it was just some agent buying leads, just another agent not associated with the property.
Sounds like they were fine being bought. They wanted to be bought. They like being bought. That feels good to them.
Yeah, buy it up. 5% thought that they were talking to an agent that actually had familiarity with
the home and not the listing agent.
Right. Now, Zillow did a little bit more research. They found that what's important to these people, 80% of the people surveyed all said the most important thing, generally speaking, is responsiveness. And then they broke down the process into 3 key points. When you're searching for a property on Zillow.
I feel like that's true with life.
I agree.
Yes.
When you're searching for a property on Zillow or on any of these sites, the number one most important thing during your search process is having a knowledgeable person that you can talk to.
Right.
Right? It makes sense. You're searching. You want information.
Gotta.
When you're engaged in a property, you're starting the process of looking at homes, basically. That number one went back to responsiveness.
Right.
Right? Which makes sense, because now you're in the game. You're about to make offer. You need someone responding.
Right.
And then when you're closing the transaction, the most important thing to the consumer was trust, because now your money's on the line. That's so important. So if you're an agent out there, focus on those 3 things, right? Responsiveness, trust, and knowledge.
Right.
Right? Those are 3 key things to respond to. Now, Zillow...
I think, though, for just like a newbie that's starting in this business, though, because some of them are buying some of these leads, when it comes to knowledge, it's also like 100% okay if you're trying to gain the trust to say, I don't have the answer to that, but I'm certainly capable and willing to find out.
Absolutely.
Because I think if you're just like mumbling and like, now you're just fucking yourself. Yeah. Like there's no more trust. They don't even want you to respond at that point.
That's a great question.
So, I mean, I think that,
I'd ask the same thing.
Yeah.
I'll get the answer.
Just a little.
It's that easy if you're a new agent.
I mean, I still do it all the time. I mean,
yeah.
You gotta.
I'll be asked, I'll walk out the door right here and I'll be asked 5 questions I don't know the answer to. So it just just kind of happens, right?
Yeah, like what's your daughter's name? Yeah, I'll get back to you.
I got that one. Here's 2 stats that are mind-blowing if you're an agent or a broker. Zillow says 20% of their premier agents, a premier agent is someone paying Zillow for leads, 20% of all their premier agents in their system have never answered a lead even once from Zillow.
I love it.
Is that just mind-blowing?
It's interesting.
49%.
Maybe they're like on like reoccurring payment. Maybe they don't. Maybe they just need a loss. Like maybe they just need an expense line. It doesn't even make any sense.
49.
Clearly, business is very good for them.
I don't know. I just don't even understand giving Zillow $500, $1,000, $10,000 a month and then just not responding to the leads ever. It's crazy. Maybe they gave them a wrong number. Who knows?
Wrong number.
I don't know.
Every time.
49% of consumers that use Zillow and click on a property for more information that were surveyed by Zillow, 49% say that they have never heard back from an agent on that property. 49% of the time. Again, these are people that are paying for the leads and they're not responding to these leads. Now, that number could certainly go up if these leads were free, right? We know this is a problem across the industry. NAR has stats on this. There's a ton of stats you can look up that salespeople in general do not follow up when it's left to them. So Zillow said, you know what? We're building out our new business plan. And number 1 on their business plan is that consistent connections happen every single time. Meaning if someone calls Zillow and wants more information on a property, 100% of the time they will be connected to an agent live on a phone call. Not 49% of the time. Reason being, you know what? I'm going to tip my hat to Greg here. He made a really great analogy. If you were to click on buying an item, and he used batteries as example. If you were going to buy batteries from Amazon, and 1 out of 2 times that you click send the batteries to my house, they showed up. If only 50% of the time they actually showed up, you would stop using Amazon. You would stop going to that site. Greg and his friends over at Zillow do not want people to stop using Zillow.com. They are very passionate about making sure people continue to use Zillow. So I agree with do you agree with this first bullet point on their business plan?
100%. I think it's, I mean, I'm down with it. Because again, the way that it was happening before, even when you go on the Zillow app, you're just like, where did this come from? Or, I mean, the whole set. But I also feel like there's part of those people that are saying they never got reached back to, but like maybe did. I don't know. But anyway, yes, I agree.
You calling these leads liars?
No.
There's some liar leads out there?
I mean, liars are liars. But I do think that the number 1 is good. I mean, I think that, yes.
So number 1. Number 2, they're going to align agents and teams with top performers, meaning people who have a high CSAT score, customer satisfaction surveys. These surveys that are going out. Greg said at this event yesterday, there have been multiple surveys on individual premier agents, myself, you.
So we're relying on these people to actually take the survey, saying they're satisfied. Because, I mean, you see me, I'm killing it on Zillow, like reviews. Could you imagine?
No. This has nothing to do with reviews, Nicole.
But you're saying that they're sending some sort of questionnaire out to say that they were satisfied.
They're sending a questionnaire out. They set you up with a lead. Hey, Nicole, we've got a lead on the line. Right. You take that lead.
Yep.
Right after that's over, that lead now gets a survey.
Right.
Were you able to connect with the agent?
So we're now relying on them to fill out the survey for us to be put into...
Which they're saying they have over 750,000 of them.
Surveys.
Already in. They've been doing this, as they build up to this.
Okay.
So agents.
I thought it was based on something different. I thought it was like based on like how many people are actually answering the phone, getting the phone. I thought it was based on that.
Well, then you start getting technical, and they're going to put that data in with the surveys.
Because if you're not getting a lead, then you're not actually then able to send out a survey.
It's one of these.
How do you ever get more surveys if you're not getting leads?
Yeah, it's one of these Zillow algorithm
I don't know.
type
Maybe
things.
that's why they haven't initiated. Maybe that's why it's not on social media yet.
Yeah.
Because they just don't know what the fook is going on yet.
They're going to come up with a CSAT score for every single agent. I know there are some agents that have their CSAT score. Zillow's saying you can't get it yet till the end of the month.
Some people in that room had them?
Some people in the room had them. I mean, if you're spending $40,000 a month with Zillow, you're calling up and say, give me my damn score, man. I want my score. All right. So now agents that are premier agents that are buying leads and zip codes are going to get leads based off of their score. So that's number 2. They're only connecting the clients with the best of the best, people that have the best CSAT score. Interesting. Okay.
Very.
Number 3, they want to streamline everything to their CRM that goes through Zillow. So they're saying they're going to make their CRM better, basically their back-end platform. I don't think consumers really care about that. I really don't even think agents care about that. They just want consistent leads, Zillow, a consistent amount of the time.
And leads, in some cases, means just like name, phone number, email, not even necessarily like a hot lead. I mean, it could really be anyone's contact information.
They want to drive, number 4, cost-effective buy and sell leads to their premier agents. Greg admitted that in Q1 of 2018, leads and zip codes became, in certain areas, not all areas, became way too expensive. It was a marketplace, so if more people wanted into a certain zip code, the prices got bid up, and there weren't enough leads in those zip codes to validate what people were spending.
That's crazy.
Right? So he admitted that, and there was even, Zillow certainly doesn't want me to say this, there was even certain people in the room that had received a refund because their estimated amount of leads was so much higher than the leads actually received.
Right.
I mean, that's when things got a little tense. But
I like it.
Number 5, coming in, and he said January most likely, they're going to...
Did these people know that Zillow was going to be... Did you know Zillow was going to be there from the very beginning?
Well, we knew on Monday. Tom said Greg's coming tomorrow.
Oh, so before you got there, you didn't know he was going?
Correct.
Okay.
I didn't. Maybe some other people did, but I certainly didn't. Number 5.
Sounds ballsy.
In January, they're going to employ multiple payment options, 2 payment options. So you can continue to buy guaranteed leads. If you're in a zip code, they're going to be connecting you with those leads. Or you can choose the option to take leads and pay a referral fee at closing. People pressed Greg on what's that referral fee going to be. He said anywhere between 22 and 35%.
Yeah, pretty standard.
So it's going to be 35%.
Of course.
Right?
Yeah, so are they getting a score too? So I guess that's not, I still feel like...
Every premier agent will have a CSAT score.
Okay.
CSAT is very hard for me to say. I wish it was CSTAT.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay.
No, maybe we can change it.
CSAT.
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 Here's what I will say.
It's like your SATs.
Yeah, it's like an SAT.
It sounds like it.
There was a lot of agents in the room very frustrated with Zillow because the ones that have been put into PA4, like our marketplace, have certainly seen their leads decrease by as much as 75%.
Right, because they're scrubbing them so much that you're not really getting anything unless it's like a good, viable lead instead of all those that are maybe on like a 6-month to 2-year track.
And Greg said they're getting feedback right now that they're going to change that and they're going to start to give you those that they're kind of
We've talked about that once
nurturing.
before.
But he had said yesterday that they're going to give them back to the agents if they want them.
Yeah.
Anyways, that being said, people have seen their weekly, monthly leads drop by as much as 75%. People with very big teams, people paying Zillow lots and lots of money. What I'll say to those agents is it's time to start investing in your personal brand, in content similar to this, whether that's local, whether that's national content. Pour into your brand so that you're not relying on Zillow, that when they move, like it's just like don't rely on Facebook, right? When Facebook's algorithms change, and if your business is relying on Facebook leads, that's going to dramatically, and you don't own Facebook, it's going to impact your bottom line.
Right.
Don't rely on Zillow as 30, 40% of your business. Some people have 50% of their GCI coming from Zillow. That to me is crazy.
Yeah, I don't, gosh.
Now the brand
I'm
play,
assuming that those people are not the 20% that haven't made any contact, because I feel
those
like
are not the 20%.
I mean, hello.
But
unless you're doing one deal, then you are 50%.
The brand play of what I'm talking about, content marketing, this kind of stuff, is a much longer play.
Right.
You know, you're going to be into that game 2 years before you start to see results, but the results are going to be so much bigger. I look at, and I'll toot our horn. I look at our new development here on the Connecticut shoreline. And that developer was never going to come through Zillow as a lead of like,
Right.
hey, I want to list an
Right.
$80+ million sellout with you guys.
Right.
Like that was going to come through having a brand,
Right.
connections.
And there was relationships there too. But yes.
But the relationship is never enough.
No.
Right?
But that obviously 100% compounded.
It's relationship, and then having a brand to stand behind, and having enough content and marketing acumen that I'll look at these guys.
Right.
Right.
I mean, winning Hobie Awards. I mean, it all helps.
Nobody knows what a Hobie Award is. Nicole. That's certainly a problem.
Whatever. I gotta drop it.
So.
What else? Are we done here yet?
You want to be done with Zillow?
No, it's great. I'm sure.
Keep your eyes open. They're piloting.
I'm curious to hear what everyone has to think.
In
like,
Florida.
what do people want to hear about? How are you feeling about it? Are you spending a shit ton of money and like seeing your leads drop?
Absolutely.
Do you like the fact that maybe you're getting better leads and not being like bogged down with all the schmutz?
Yeah.
I mean, I guess it just depends on how your business is run, like how your systems are in play, where you're sort of a little bit more reactive. So like if you're like as they're coming in, there isn't a system for them to follow up, then maybe you're loving the fact that they're like good, wholesome leads instead of.
Are you in PA4? Drop it in the comments. Yes or no. Are you in PA4? Are you in the Premier Agent 4 program? Did they switch over in your marketplace? Yes or no? And I love the question, how much are you spending a month on Zillow leads? If you're willing to share that, drop that in the comments. Let's have a discussion around that. And this is something that's not going away. The tension in that room yesterday was real, and it tells me that Zillow is going to do whatever it takes to give their consumers what they want, whatever it takes.
Well, and that's really the bottom line, right? I mean,
listen, Amazon has done a great job of this. Like, your margin is my opportunity.
Right.
That's the famous Jeff Bezos quote. Your margin is my opportunity. He doesn't care that Sears went out of business Monday. He doesn't care who else he puts out of business. If it's good for his consumer, he's going to do it. Zillow's thinking the same way. So
yeah, you'll have Coke cans just waiting for you in your fridge soon.
Get educated on that. Racket number 1. Kinder.
Ooh, say it again.
Kinder.
You always seem to like last week it was unveil. This week it's kinder.
Kinder.
Kinder, is that even a real word?
Gentler.
Kinder? Kinder? More kind? It's kinder.
The Compass CEO is getting kinder and gentler, and he admits that some of his arrogant marketing throughout the last 6 years, you say since launching in New York City 6 years ago, was a mistake.
I will give him props for his real estate signs.
Oh, those signs are hot.
Oh my gosh. I mean, part of me just wants to join Compass just to get like a glowing sign.
So Robert Refkin, the Compass CEO, he did an interview in a conference room in Compass's Manhattan headquarters. This article is available. We're going to link that up. This is an Inman article. And he reflected on his company's growth over the past 6 years, the state of the industry. There's a whole bunch of stuff he gets into. But he says that he thinks that the language from the marketing became about being everywhere and winning. And there's nothing about my motivation. He's speaking, about himself, Robert Refkin. Nothing about his motivation that has to do with winning or being everywhere. I agree. They don't want to be everywhere. They want to be in major cities. They've attacked major cities.
Right.
But Compass, come on now. Your marketing has certainly been about maybe not using the word winning, but it's been about, man, we're the best.
Dominating.
We're the newest thing on the block. Like, you want to join. And I applaud that. I don't think you should. I think what's a racket is you now flipping and.
Oh, if you're going to be an asshole, stay an asshole.
Yeah, if you're going to be aggressive, stand behind it.
Right.
Don't flip and apologize that you guys have been aggressive and you guys have gone after market share. Do it, my man.
Maybe he got married or something. Maybe
I don't know anything about his personal life. No. But what I do know is there have been a lot of people that have just talked shit on Compass. They're moving into my marketplace. I mean, you talk to Sotheby's brokers.
Yeah.
They hate Compass in most
I really like their
marketplaces.
Signs.
I was talking to a Sotheby's broker. I used to be Sotheby's. I used to know you. And he's like,
to like the pineapple.
He's like, oh, why'd you leave Sotheby's? Blah 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 blah. He says, at least you didn't go to Compass. Like, people hate Compass. They really do.
Yeah.
And it's because they're marketing. It's not that it's so aggressive. I don't find it super aggressive. I just find it good, clean, slick. I told our broker, I said, dude,
super slick.
The slickest branding right now happens to be Compass.
I agree.
And a lot of people are poo-pooing this because they have so much money behind them. Tom said 2 days ago.
Tom Toole.
No.
Oh.
Not Tom Toole. We talk about
Ferry.
Tom Toole. Tom Ferry.
We do. I feel like we had to say his name because last week we said we were going to talk about him a lot. So I was just waiting for that moment.
No.
Just the other Tom.
He said that he had a conversation with Robert Refkin, and they've taken $600+ million. Or this is when he took $600+ million from this VC group in Japan. Well, this group said to him, "We're willing to give you $10 billion. We'll give you $10 billion." I would be pretty aggressive and arrogant too if someone said, "Hey, I'll give you $10 billion to go grow your brand."
I feel like you kind of need to because you've got all those people riding on you.
You got that money to spend. He only took the $600 million, which has really been good. But that alone also tells you how much. If there's a VC group in Japan willing to give Compass $10 billion,
people are watching.
There's a lot of money coming into real estate in America, but I don't think you have to apologize for your success. Just go keep getting it.
So that's a racket.
That's
the
a racket.
The apology's a racket. Don't ever say you're sorry.
The apology is a racket.
It's overrated.
All right, racket number 2. For almost 2 years, no one wanted to buy Warren Buffett's home in Laguna Beach.
Until we mentioned it on the Racket.
You think we need a referral fee?
We told him to list it with us, which we did for him, and he has finally sold it for $7.5 million. I think that Warren absolutely needs to give us a high five on that.
He was asking $11 million originally.
Yeah, so he sold it for 32% under what he originally listed for. I'll be honest, I think we're seeing that in our marketplace where things are starting 30%, 50% of where they started being listed if they're not listed properly. I mean,
every luxury broker I've spoken to in the last couple of months has been cautious about predicting where the luxury market is going over the next couple of years, and they certainly haven't liked the last couple of months.
Right.
This could be a number of things. We're getting close to that election, so people are just probably cautious.
Maybe.
But Warren Buffett's a smart dude.
Well, he also bought the house for $150,000.
Oh, he only bought it for $150,000.
So I feel like
I thought he paid $8.5.
I feel like part of him was probably all. I remember we were talking about the other time. Like, I don't think he's a real seller. He didn't really want to sell at $11 million. He wanted to hang out there for a little bit.
Yeah. He
He probably always knew he was going to sell at 7.5. But you're welcome, Warren.
But he loves being. He loves having great timing, right?
Yeah.
And so he loves holding into a deal long term until it makes sense.
I mean,
He's made boatloads of money off of this deal. When you go over time, who
Where
knows
is
how
it
much
again?
money he put in?
Malibu?
It was Laguna Beach.
Sorry, I'm yawning.
But is Warren Buffett selling this luxury property now an indicator of what's going to happen over the next few years in the luxury market?
He has been trying to sell it for 3 years.
That
though.
we don't know. We'll have to just stay tuned. Is it a racket
Congrats, Warren.
that he took 7.5?
No, I think it's,
If you're a Laguna Beach agent,
I think it's.
I'd love to hear from you if that was a good price or not.
I feel like it's a great price. We went to Malibu. I mean, we saw the prices in Malibu.
And we went to Laguna. We went to Laguna.
We didn't go into the homes in Laguna.
No, we went to the homes in Malibu.
Just in Malibu.
Yeah, it does seem like a good price out there.
Yeah.
Family accuses agent of selling them a former meth lab.
Holla.
Yikes. Is that a racket?
I mean, holy schmoly.
The family went as far to picket outside the Keller Williams office of the agent.
So this family,
that's a racket.
I guess that's the hard thing. I mean, obviously, people always want to go after the agencies too for those types of things. I think that the agencies are the ones that have all of the money. I mean, the amount of times I've been asked, like, well, if you're not going to do something, we'll bill. Like, I'm sorry. But anyway, I do not think that this is a racket. I mean, I think it's a racket that they're suing. I mean, I don't really know the whole story.
I think it's a racket that you're picketing outside their office.
Yes.
Get a hold of your attorney.
Yes.
The agent
this whole meth lab thing,
the agent has E&O.
There's a test. I have had multiple buyers that have actually asked me if I knew if a home was a meth lab.
She sells in a lot of meth neighborhoods.
In some states, it's actually on the disclosure, which is bizarre to me too, because you're actually then sort of confessing illegal activity, but regardless.
Yes, we had a meth lab. We still do.
Of course we do. Yeah, but there is a test. There's like a $50 test where they like swab, see if there is meth, because it does live in the carpets. It does live in the walls. Families can be sick. Families are getting sick.
Meth's really bad for you.
Yeah,
from what I've heard.
From what I've heard, it's horrible. I mean, you lose like your teeth and like, but anyway, but as like residual in the house, it's not a good thing. But I mean, unfortunately, there's money to be made off of it, and you can sort of make it at home clearly. So I do think that being conscientious of it is super important. But this whole story is a little bizarre to me because I don't know.
It'll be tough.
Why it would?
It'll be interesting to see if the agent is liable for this. Obviously, this is obvious, but I'll say it anyways. If you're an agent that knew that there was a meth lab and didn't disclose it.
Is it the listing agent
you should lose your...
They're going after the listing agent or their buyer's agent?
Outside of picketing the real estate franchisor for what they claim was an agent's decision to sell them a former meth lab riddled with toxic drugs.
So did the agent know?
That's what they're claiming. That the agent knew. Doesn't tell me if it's the listing of the buyer. Well, this was your racket, Nicole.
I know. It was a good one, though.
But you're right. If the agent knew, they should lose their freaking license. If they hid a fact like that, you know. Of course. But they do have E&O insurance. To the family, totally feel bad for you. This is
I mean,
horrible.
They're living in tents. It is horrific. And again, there are actually lots of families, as I dug a little bit deeper into it, that are unfortunately living this. It's taken a lot of families years to even realize that they were living in a meth home because like their kids were just getting sick and they couldn't figure out why.
They're currently waiting for
real. I mean,
they're waiting for a judge to review their case and hope to receive $900,000 for cleanup costs and damages.
Yeah, you can still live in the home if it's clean.
That's why they're saying they're picketing. I would just put pressure on. I would use my energy putting pressure on the attorney than picketing. I mean, what are you doing picketing? That's such a waste of time, but people like to do that kind of stuff.
Yeah. You think lots of things are a waste of time, though.
Yeah.
I mean.
Well, picketing would be at the top of the list.
Top.
All right, racketers. If you've got any rackets, drop them in. JD Manning, my man. I did not forget about the stats you sent me over on Open Door. I've got some interesting stuff from the Greg Schwartz discussion yesterday. We're going to get into that next week. We're going to go into some of these Open Door stats. I want to wrap my mind around, and I appreciate the email, the information that you sent in. We'll tie that into some of the stuff that Greg was talking about yesterday. Zillow is certainly keeping their eye on Open Door, so stay tuned for that. Again, love your feedback on all these topics and any topics you'd like for us to talk about in the future. Yeah, I mean, I feel like we put in a solid hour therapy session here. Put in some work here. Yeah. Some Zillow work.